Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Cavs fans, how we doing? Another beautiful Friday night here on the block, The Shot to Stop, a Cleveland Cavaliers podcast brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am Tim Daniel. He is Kevin Lynch, and we are discussing yet another Cavaliers victory tonight, a 134-122 win over the Dallas Mavericks. Kevin, to complete a perfect West Coast road trip.
Yeah, the Cavs are really good. They win again. It's kind of late. Should we just go to bed and wrap it? I mean, what else do we say about this game?
This team's really good. They score a lot of points. They have a lot of really good players. All right, that's the show.
I lost my bets. Let's start there. Because first of all, I apologize. As you know, people have been listening since the origin of the show know, like we started out doing a daily best bet of the day, right? We did it maybe the first 15 or 20 games. We got away from it a little bit, and the two of us plus Skylar talked, and we said we wanted to get back to it in the new year. Yep. Tim won the first one against the Lakers on Tuesday. I lost tonight. And so, first of all, I apologize. And I especially feel bad because I was choosing between like 4 or 5 different bets, and I picked the only one that lost to give out to everyone. So I have a question for you as far as, and we'll get into the Cavs and talk about the game tonight and the players and everything. But since we're on the topic of betting on the Cavs, I wanted to throw out some stuff. Tim, we do this bet of the day. Why don't we just bet the Cavs to cover Cavs money line every single game?
Because it wouldn't be fun at some point, right? Like it's great for us because we're just building our profits. It's great for our listeners if they follow along. But we've already been told before we don't know how to bet by people.
Yeah.
So like at that point they'd just be right. I mean, but I can't say anything, Kevin, because I think 70% of games this year I have bet Mobley over points plus rebounds, and I'm pretty sure 80% of that 70% I've hit. So
yeah. Well, and there's a couple like betting statistics I want to throw out before we get into real basketball statistics, because it's top of mind for us. But I'll let you take a guess, Tim. Like, what do you think the Cavs record is against the spread? The Cavs to cover this season. What do you think it is out of 34 games? I
think it's pretty crazy, right? Isn't it like 28-5? I mean, 29-5.
It's 25-9. 25-9. Best percentage in the league to cover. They're up at like 74%, covering the spread 74% of the time. Next best is Memphis at like 68%. So they're covering almost every game, and the absolute best bet you can make in the NBA this season. And I've been doing it, and for whatever reason, I have not been getting around the socials. Maybe I didn't want the bettors to adjust the lines on it. But if you just bet a two-leg parlay, Cavs to win the first half, Cavs to win the game, that almost always comes out to plus money or like low negatives, like negative 120 or something. And the Cavs are 28-6, winning the first half and winning the game. Like it's so easy, right? And we're gonna get into. I know you want to talk about the Cavs from a national perspective and everything. And I think, and a lot of Cavs fans, I think rightfully so, are saying, why aren't we getting more coverage, more respect? We have the best record in the league. We're playing as the best team in the league right now and have been all season. If you want to talk about disrespect, the Vegas has not adjusted the lines for how good the Cavs are. There's not nearly enough. They're they've won 12 of the last 13 or 13 of the last 14 now, and all but one's by double digits. And I was looking, in all but a couple were single digit lines. So they're not adjusting to like the fact that the Cavs win almost every game and they win them by double digits. So I don't know. I guess I'm just a moron. So from now on, just bet the Cavs money line in the first half money line, and make yourself money.
Yeah. My two go-to bets have not hit the last couple nights, but my teams have won. So I feel good about that part at least. So if that means if I got to lose like $5 or $6 a night for my teams to be victorious, then I will take it. Notre Dame games, I bet Jeremiah Love anytime touchdown every game, and every game he had one until last night against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, which I will live with that because my team finally won a major bowl game. So I will live with that. And then the Cavs, of course, like I will lose my $3-4 on Donovan Mitchell threes if that means they win. So I will completely be okay with that. And we're talking at the point now, Kevin, where this team is 30-4. And that is insanity. Just pure insanity that they are 30-4 in the modern NBA. The way the game is played, this team has done this. Kirk Goldsberry, I know you're a pretty decent fan of him as well with some of his product. Put out his analytics map as far as the last 10 games, whoever everyone's looked at as far as rating. The Cavs, the last 10 games are number 1 overall rating, net rating, number 1 offense rating, number 9 defense. And the defense has improved from 11. So it's pretty kind of awesome how great they've been defensively really throughout this stretch. We've talked about that quite a bit. Tonight we see another awesome night. And I know a lot of people are going to point out to a depleted Dallas Mavericks team, which brings me to a point I really wanted to make, Kevin.
Okay.
So I looked a lot into this when I was bored watching the first quarter when the Cavs were just taking care of American Airlines Arena.
Yeah.
And obviously, we get the news just before the game, probably about an hour or two before, that Kyrie Irving just decides to not play. And I thought about it. I'm sitting there thinking about it. I was like, off the top of my head, I don't have stats to back this up just yet. But I feel like Kyrie Irving has missed a lot of games against the Cavs since he was traded from Cleveland. And you know what? I was right.
Yeah.
So 2017, 2018 is his first year in Boston. They played Cleveland opening night. We all remember that game. God bless Gordon Hayward. Plays all 3 regular season games, misses all 7 playoff games. There's 7 he's missed right there. 18-19, misses 3 of the 4. That year, they scheduled Cleveland and Boston to be one of those teams that play in the same conference 4 times that aren't in the same division. So at this point, we're talking about 10. First year at the Nets, it's COVID, pandemic, everything's weird. They only play him once.
Especially for him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he really did a great job there, didn't he? He didn't play that game. So we're now at 11. 2021, he does play all 3. That's that's right when they make the James Harden trade in Brooklyn. They played that back-to-back in Cleveland, where Cleveland beats them in Harden's debut. And so that was pretty cool. 21-22, he does play both the games against Cleveland. That's right before, and then 2023, he gets traded to Dallas in the middle of the year, plays 1 of 2. 23-24 last year, played 1 of 2, and this year's misses 1 so far. Kevin, we're talking about the fact that since he has left the Cleveland Cavaliers, he has missed 14 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
14 out of how many?
Like 27.
Yeah. So he's missed about 50%. I mean, what was going through my head is there's a few years there that you're rattling off that Kyrie just missed a lot of games against everybody.
True.
He has stayed relatively healthy most of the last 3 to 4 years. So if you'd asked me to guess out of 27, I'd have guessed he would have missed 8 or 9. So it's a little bit more than I would have expected. But like I said, he's a guy. He used to miss shortly for the first few years after he left Cleveland. He missed a lot of basketball games. And to his credit, has really turned his career around, stayed healthier. Tonight not included, but yeah, it was a bummer. It was just a bummer because I'm somebody. First priority, seeing the Cavs play well and seeing them win. Second priority, I love seeing some of the best basketball players in the world play. And I think I said it. I think it was you and me did a pod earlier this year when they played Milwaukee. The Cavs played awesome, beat them by double digits, but Giannis went off. Giannis had 37 and 17. I'm like, this is my perfect game. Cavs played great. They got a double digit win, and I got to see one of the best players in the world do their thing and just be awesome. So that's really my ideal night. So I'm bummed when a night like tonight happens where you're playing a team where their 2 stars are not playing. But like I said before, you play who's on the court and you make no apologies for winning an NBA game.
I should have really dug deeper and seen how many of those games that Kyrie played and didn't play where another one of his star teammates didn't play. Because my theory is that he's ducking the Cavs for sure.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Jason Tatum that first year in Boston and played all those. He had Jason Tatum the next year, decided not to. Gordon Hayward wasn't quite back yet. He just so happened to be willing to play all those games when James Harden came to town in Brooklyn. He's ducking.
In fairness, I would want to see the home away splits. Like, how many games does he miss when they're in Cleveland? Because if he's ducking, I would think he'd want to miss those games more than
you're right.
Like more than tonight when they're playing at home, So I think that's the evidence. I love a good conspiracy theory, but that's the evidence I would need to get fully on board with it. But we are over 10 minutes into this. Maybe we should talk about tonight's game and maybe start with Evan Mobley, and I'll let you take it away. I think when you and me do a podcast, Evan just always has like a unbelievable night. It seems like we've been together for his 4 or 5 best games of the year, and tonight was no exception.
Evan Mobley, like I officially at this point where I think he's my adopted son because I'm such a big fan. Literally probably my favorite player in the league right now, and I don't just say that because we have a Cavs show and I'm a Cavs fan. I just really think he's my favorite player to watch, and you're starting to see the recognition come in, which we'll get into a little bit. Gets Conference Defensive Player of the Month, well deserved. Was on NBA Today the other day on ESPN breaking down film, and I was like, this is really cool. What's up, Devin? How are you? Hopefully you and Skylar are hanging out watching the show tonight. 34 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 21 shots. 21 shots. That all the makes are great. I am super stoked about the makes. 21 shots is what I'm happiest about.
Yeah. What I'm happiest about is he did it in every way. He got the ball in the wing and attacked the basket. When he got an opportunity, he posted guys up. He hit 3 threes tonight. He got to the free throw, shot 4 free throws. I'd like to see it more up by around 7 or 8. But he did it in so many different. He did it by running the floor. He had monster dunks. He got those 34 points in just about every way that you can score a basket in the NBA. And that is the most encouraging thing to me, is because he's becoming a complete player. He was a guy who was elite at a couple things and then developing the other parts of his game, right? And now he's getting to the point where every part of his game is somewhere between very good and elite. And that's what happens when people become a superstar. And that's literally what he's on the cusp of.
So I'm glad you said that, because I did make mention I was pretty active on the Blue Sky tonight talking with some Cavs fans, and there were some really good posts. It's a great community over there, the Cavs community, as
Agreed.
you know.
I enjoyed a lot.
And I want to make sure I point out our good buddy Fan of the Land 13. For those who don't know, he's got a TJ Maxx icon. And he sent out 3-point shooting Mobley has to be the most difficult player in the league to guard. And I went, yeah, sure. And then I thought about it and I went, yeah, maybe. Because obviously there's the Giannis's, but Giannis doesn't shoot threes, but Giannis is so impossible in transition. LeBron with his basketball IQ, he can do so many things. You Steph Curry coming off screens. We name all this stuff, but Evan Mobley is a guy you prepare for to attack the rim and be super aggressive there and take up space in the paint. And then he starts shooting threes like this, where he's shooting 6 to 8 a night. Like you said, yeah, I want to see him get to the free throw line a little bit more, but I don't know if I'm full on the point where I do think he's the most difficult player in the league to guard, but he's certainly climbing up the list.
No, he is. And I like saying he's becoming one of the best complete players in the league, because the package he's always had has been a very good defender. And I think he's actually gotten even better on that end this year, particularly guarding guys out on the wing, getting switch on a smaller guy. I just think he's playing, doing that so well, along with protecting the basket and everything. I agree with you. I mean, he's becoming an elite player because of his offensive developments, primarily because the defense for the most part has been there. But what I love, and kind of just to reiterate what I was saying, is he's making winning plays all over the game, right? He's just leaving his imprint all over the game, and he's starting to become that type of guy who, even when he doesn't have an elite offensive game, he makes an elite impact on the game, right? Yeah. And so, I was thinking about it because Skylar and I, we did a pod several weeks ago. I asked him who do you think the Cavs MVP is, and we went back and forth between Mitchell and Mobley. You can make an argument for Garland as well. I kind of think Mobley's
I do too.
becoming the star of this Cavs team. As much as I love Donovan Mitchell and think he's just amazing, I think Mobley just has the highest ceiling, and he's starting to hit that ceiling.
I think, and yeah, I'm with you. I absolutely love Donovan Mitchell. If Evan Mobley's your best player and Donovan Mitchell's your second player, you can 1,000% win a title.
Yeah, agreed.
You can 1,000% win a title. And this is the reason guys like Evan Mobley are taking the top 5 of NBA drafts.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and not even to pivot, because we can definitely talk about Mobley more and everything, but like I completely agree. If Mobley is playing so well that he becomes your best player over Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell is almost like he's house money at this point. Like we know exactly what we're going to get from him. Sometimes the stats aren't always the same, but he could have the same impacts just about every game, in different ways. Mobley is the one who's like rising. And I was just going to add, yes, if Mobley's your best player and Donovan Mitchell's on your team, you can win a championship. But to back that up, not only that, but then to get the contributions you get up and down the roster, to have a third and fourth star player on the team, and then have what I think you have to say at this point, an elite supporting cast. There's a growing list of reasons why. There's more reasons why this team can win the whole thing this year than there's reasons they can't.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I want to point out a couple more posts before we move on and talk about other players about Mobley. Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs, great listen, had 3 posts about Evan Mobley that just kind of describe the whole night. Just you can kind of get a general consensus of if you missed the game and we're recapping it for you. Evan Mobley scored 18 points on 7 of 9 shooting in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of December, Evan Mobley's career high for 3-pointers in a game was 3. He's made 3 or more threes in 5 games in the past month.
Yeah.
And Evan Mobley has been so ridiculous on offense tonight, Dallas has no answer for him. And that's not even counting scoring. At the end of the game, when they're about to put the game away, he hits Jared Allen on that alley-oop, and it was like, we talk about the growth in offense. We talk about the growth in scoring. He was always a decent passer.
Mm-hmm.
He's become a really good playmaker.
I completely agree. And Skylar said it in the chat tonight. Like you can see how confident he looks doing shooting his 3. I agree with that, but I would expand to his whole offensive game. He's confident with whatever he's doing on the offensive end. And the fact that he is shooting 3s, it like not only well, but with enough volume that people have to respect it, just opens up everything else he wants to do on the basketball court.
Yeah, Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell somehow made Adidas cool to me. So
yeah, and not only that, just one more point. Evan Mobley being able to shoot 3s and to play make and score off the dribble makes it possible for him and Jared Allen to play together, because it's the other than like Kenny Atkinson and just their growth as a player and becoming more cohesive, like all that stuff's true, but you could have all that stuff, and if Mobley couldn't play on the wing, couldn't shoot 3s, couldn't put the ball on the floor, they wouldn't be able to play together, at least at an elite level. And it's really like his development has made it possible for those two to pair together and have 2 all-star level big men that like other teams just can't match up with.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And I think, and that's what I want to kind of get to before we end the show tonight. But I do want to make sure I mention, so Mobley was obviously the star.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone else tonight basically had it was like the perfect NBA TikTok highlight reel of like, you get just 60 seconds of highlights, and they're all incredible. And Karis LeVert tonight had a ton of those between circus shots and incredible defensive abilities, things he did there. We have Dean Wade throwing down hammers.
Yeah.
Like hammers.
Yeah.
Darius Garland's out there like making passes like it's the N1 mixtape tour. Just like finding dudes open the way he's passing the ball. And Mitchell's Mitchell. I mean, he's just, doing what he does. And Jared Allen's throwing down dunks, blocking shots and coming down and catching oops. And George Niang is bullying people and getting layups. Look, all those guys have great stats, and if we went through all like everything those guys did tonight, we would be here for a long time. But I just want to say like tonight was Cavs and one night, because they were doing whatever they wanted and everything looked pretty.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to say the short version is we got an expanded version coming on the NBA Weekly that we're going to do here in a few days that we're really excited about. But one of the guys I just wanted to highlight that you talked about, Dean Wade, and we have all kinds of stats that we talk about. Basically, the Cavs are an elite team when Dean Wade plays and a 500 team when he doesn't. Like, some of that could be coincidence and everything, but that's what the records are, right? And if you just think about this season, you think about that first 15 game win streak, and then now this 9-game win streak. Am I right? In 12 out of the last 13, something like that. The few weeks in between those two streaks is when Dean Wade was missing some games.
Yeah.
Like, if you look up Dean Wade, like, as impressive it is that the Cavs are 30-4. I think Dean Wade's 24-1 this year, like, in games he's played. They've only lost one game with him, and they've won. It's not like he's missed tons and tons of games. I'll fact check that, but it's somewhere right around there. But I just think his not only ability to be healthy, and then all the inner like the intangibles that he does, and the beginning of the year, and then recently is when he's contributing offensively. He had a pretty cold stretch in between those.
Yeah,
but it's almost like they're a very good team anyway, and take like one more step up when Dean Wade is playing and healthy, and especially when he is contributing on the offensive end.
So what we're saying is Dean Wade is good Thanasis Antetokounmpo, where the Bucks won the title when Thanasis is around. When he's not, they're not very good. But Thanasis is not a great NBA player, where Dean Wade is a pretty darn good NBA player.
Yep. And I was actually, I told you I'd fact check. I was right. Dean Wade, the Cavs record when Dean Wade plays this year is 24-1.
That's insane. Yeah, that's wild. All right. So yeah, I think that we can kind of go through the game from there. I think we kind of touched on it. We got the gambling stuff out as well. I just want to make mention of this real quick, because the conversations come up, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit at the start of the show. But as Cavs fans, we were kind of going through a lot of, well, what are people going to start talking about us? What are we going to start being in that upper echelon of the Celtics and the Thunder and teams like that? Like, when are they going to talk about us the way they talk about those teams? Not only did that start this week, that came in droves this week. And I was texting with you and Skylar, and you made a great point, which I don't want to take from you. I'll let you make sure you mention it before when you do your point. But I listen to a lot of NBA podcasts. I know you said you do as well. And of course, you see Jeff Teague and you see Club 520 on their morning show. They're talking about the Cavs this week after the Laker game. And then you see on Game Theory, Sam Vicente, who, what up, fellow Blue Wire podcast, is talking about the Cavs being the best team in the league. Actually, the episode was called "Are the Cavs actual title contenders?" Thinking Basketball, which is a really smart NBA podcast, they're doing a deep dive on if they do belong in the conversation with OKC and Boston. And of course, Wendy has Cavs Corner on the Hoop Collective that McMahon and Bontemps always make fun of them for. But they literally had a lengthy conversation on their show this week about, are they actually the best team in the league? And then all the podcast part's great, man. It's like, okay, what about the article side? Dan Devine on Yahoo Sports writes an incredible article this week about why we should be thinking about the Cavs as title contenders more. And I 1,000% agree with all this. I do believe the Cavaliers can definitely win the NBA championship, and I know you do too. But I thought about all this, and I was talking to you guys about it, and you made a really good point on why it's all of a sudden happening.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. They played the Warriors and Lakers on back-to-back nights.
Yes.
And those are the two teams that people talk about in the NBA the most. So when you play those teams on back-to-back nights in their house and beat the heck out of them the way the Cavs did.
Yeah.
You talk, because like I listen to NBA podcasts too, and you're right. I feel like the Cavs were getting a lot of talk this week. But in the ones I listened to, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but it was like, yeah, man, Cavs like really destroyed the Wizards. Like, Donovan Mitchell's great, Mobley's great, blah, blah, blah. 30 seconds. And then let's pivot to, 15 minutes on why the Warriors are a 500 team. And then like same kind of thing with the Lakers, right? So I don't disagree with you. I think they're getting mentioned more. And I do think there are certain outlets that are really like focusing and breaking down the team and doing a good job of why the Cavs have been so successful. I think in the NBA, there are the sexy teams that sell. And and it's ultimately, you can blame ESPN, you can blame the media, but like the media, then everyone's only going to put out the content that people absorb, right? and so, there's a handful of teams that are going to get 80 to 90% of all the NBA coverage, and the top two of them, the Cavs, happen to play on back-to-back nights, and that's why it was almost like people were like, "Oh yeah, the Cavs," because they happened to see they were on national TV and played those guys.
Yeah, I am excited because both OKC games are officially national TV games starting with Wednesday. So that's going to be awesome. Martin Luther King Day, they have an afternoon 3:30 game. Love that. So that's going to be cool. Everyone's off work and can watch the Cavs, whether it's on League Pass or wherever it is. So that's awesome. But yeah, I think your point is extremely valid. I really love Steph Curry's quote about when he was talking about after they played them this week. And he said, "You're only as good as your record says you are." He's like, and they're pretty damn good. Nail on the head.
Beautiful in its simplicity, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's straightforward, to the point, and correct.
Yeah. So we obviously love this team. It's nice to see them getting recognition for how good they are. I went into it today on the Blue Skies as well. I tweeted from our account at BSS Cavs. I said flat out, Evan Mobley is 100% the most improved player in basketball, and no one deserves the award more than him. And we talked about this all the time. We know someone is going to get the award over him. It's just complete bullshit.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm more concerned with, and I know, I don't know, but I would greatly imagine players are much more concerned with the awards or all NBA teams.
Yes.
Because all NBA teams actually can affect how much their next contract is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I
asked
think
Donovan Mitchell about why his contract with the Cavs was so friendly at first.
Right. And so I think without a doubt they did all NBA teams today. Mobley and Mitchell are on it, and you can make an argument for Garland, sneaking on as well. And so that's what I'll see. And a lot of the other awards are kind of like, they're goofy, I guess, why they give them to the people they do. But the all NBA teams are generally taken very seriously and for the most part accurate to the season that the players had impact on. So that's really what I'm going to pay the most attention to. Whoever they always give most improved player to a guy who's been in the league 3 years and became a starter and went from averaging 6 points to 12. And, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I did really like what Shea said yesterday when they were talking about how Ant Edwards called him the MVP. And he kind of said, he's like, no offense to you media people by any means. He's like, but when your peers tell you that, he's like, it means a little bit more. And I totally respect that. And I think the All-Star game is going to be really telling about that as well, with the players who get the vote and things like that as well. So look, man, we got a game on Sunday. We're back at the Rock hosting the Charlotte Hornets, who are not very good. And if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're looking to get your third win of the season against them. And you feel pretty confident about that, right? Because you've already taken care of business against them twice. You know that they're a little limited on talent. You and I so happen to have had both Charlotte Hornets games so far. So I am so sad I am missing Sunday.
Yeah.
They are 7-25. They are 29th in the league in offensive rating, Kev. They're 25th in net rating, which has dropped significantly, by the way, since the last time we did a Hornets game. They were in the top half of the league in defensive rating. I still do like Charles Lee. We all know, I've said it a million times, I freaking love Brandon Miller. I am a huge fan. But
is he hurt, or did he just not play tonight?
I believe he is hurt.
Yeah, I'm not as up on Charlotte Hornets news, if I'm being honest. I mean, I just always assume LaMelo's out. I just pulled up tonight and saw that Brandon Miller didn't play either.
So, yikes! His last, as much as I gave him credit, his last 5 or 6 games, he has not shot the ball well at all. Oh my God! His last game against the Wizards, they lost by 3. He was 6 of 21. 2 games before that, they lost to the Bulls by 14. He was 8 of 21. Those aren't exactly the Cavs and the Thunder we're talking about there.
No.
But it's a team that's banged up. It's a team that's gone through a lot. It's just a team that probably, when we talk about these Brooklyn teams, we talk about these Wizards teams, Toronto, things like that. The teams I joke about, I call they capture the flag sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
Those teams have assets that can help other teams. This team maybe has 2 or 3, and one of them no one's going to touch because no one wants Miles Bridges for obvious reasons. Nick Richards is a guy I think could be a really good backup big on a playoff team, but who's going to go out and to get him? Mark Williams is hurt all the time, so no one knows when they can count on him to play. And then, of course, they're going to build around Miller and Ball, as they should.
Yeah.
So it's a really goofy roster, not to use a term you used earlier, but I don't know what's a redeeming factor in this team, is if anything.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be like, the answer would be LaMelo and Brandon Miller. Like, you have two super talented under 25 guys that you can hopefully build a team around. Brandon Miller could be that guy. He's in his second year. It's kind of a we'll see. And LaMelo's just so unreliable and misses so much time. It's hard to get excited about that. So you're right. I love Seth Curry. I don't know why Seth Curry doesn't become, a seventh, eighth man on a playoff team.
Why is he not playing with LeBron yet?
Yeah.
Why is he not a LeBron teammate?
I don't know. That's a bummer. I don't know. I just think, as far as, I mean, he's become a great immaculate grid use, but otherwise I feel like he could have been so much better served on so many different teams. Like he was so effective for that year. He was on the Sixers with Embiid and a couple other points in his career. I just think he just always seems to land in the wrong spot.
Yeah, there's a couple years in Portland, he was really good for that team, backing up Dame. He's definitely had some steps where he's been really, really successful. Also, is his brother just not ever going to get him a job again? They're just not going to be teammates? Roll it out. So I just want to make sure I mentioned that. But yeah, I mean, I suspect the Cavs are probably going to be double-digit favorites at home in this game. I don't think they're going to have jet lag. They seem to never have it on these long travels. I guess Dallas to Cleveland's not as long as a flight. I should probably take that back. But yeah, I feel confident in yet another win.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, how impressive it is to go 4-0 on this road trip. I understand tonight they played Dallas without Kyrie and Luka, but they played the Lakers at full strength. They played the Warriors at full strength. They played the Nuggets at almost full strength, all on the road. All four of those games in a 7-8 day period. And at the same time, when not only you're playing good teams and you're traveling so much, but you also have the best record in the NBA, and human nature would be to take your foot off the pedal a little bit one of these games, right? Or something. Yeah. So I want to give the Cavs so much credit. Going 4-0, for the most part, everyone played all four games on this trip, which a lot of times in the NBA, somebody takes a game off on a road trip. Like
especially on a back-to-back, yeah.
Yeah, and so incredibly impressive what the Cavs did in this last week to go 4-0 on this road trip and to honestly start putting more and more distance between them and the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm really excited for this stretch here. And then we got these Oklahoma City games coming up. Those are gonna be fun. We're not too far from the All-Star break, which feels insane to say. But yeah, we got a lot of fun basketball coming up still, man. Hey, before we get out of here, I want to make mention real quick, one quick thing. And I know you can kind of speak to this probably a little more than I can.
Okay.
Is that tomorrow the Chicago Bulls are finally doing the right thing in the world in honoring Derrick Rose, former Cleveland Cavalier of 16 games, Derrick Rose.
Former Cavs great.
Yeah, former Cavs great. I saw Cavaliers Derrick Rose in person somehow.
Oh, nice.
Weirdest. Yeah, but I want to make sure I mention him. One of my favorite players of all time. I know you were in Chicago for his come up, and it's cool the Bulls are honoring him. It was cool that tonight he got to play his last game ever at Simeon High School with his son PJ. That was a really neat thing they did. So congratulations to Derrick Rose. I'm really happy he's going to get honored. I know he's a former Cav, so I thought it was fitting to mention him here. So
yeah, and he is easily the most beloved Bull since MJ. Like,
sure.
not even close. I mean, the fact he was such an enjoyable player to watch, just the way he played, how aggressive he was at attacking the basket, obviously just how skilled he was overall. And you throw in the fact that he grew up and was from Chicago and everything. Like I very few times in my life have I seen a fan base just completely fall in love with like one guy the way they did Rose. I mean, it's pretty equal to how Cavs fans feel about LeBron, to be honest.
For sure.
And yeah, definitely glad he had a lot of bad luck, but still with injuries, but still had a great career. And at his peak was one of the best players in the NBA. So yeah, happy to see him go to get honored tomorrow night for the Bulls.
Also, incredible marketing by the Bulls. January 4th, 2025 against the Knicks. Wore 1 for the Bulls and wore 4 and 25 for the Knicks. Incredible marketing. You can't get this one past me here, guys. But all joking aside, we're going to go ahead and wrap up tonight's edition of the Block the Shot to Stop. Another great Cavs victory to round out an excellent road trip. You couldn't ask for more than what it did here. Kev will be back with Skylar on Sunday after the Hornets game. And then we have a really awesome NBA Weekly coming up next week. Skylar did an awesome job getting a really cool guest from realcavsfans.com. We're going to do a simulcast with them, talking the trade deadline and more. So excited to see all that. But of course, if you're just checking us out for the first time, please take a moment to subscribe to us here on YouTube, whatever podcast app you're using, and leave a nice review. Helps us out a lot, and we're definitely appreciative of it. And the support we've been getting through the season has been super awesome. So on behalf of Skylar Webker, on behalf of Kevin Lynch, this is Tim Daniel. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Sunday.
Go Cavs.